All right, Woj bomb alert. Woj bomb alert.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
crazy.
good bomb.
So the Indiana Pacers have made a trade with the Toronto Raptors.
Mm.
One, the only Spinny P. Yeah, Tyrese and Spinny P. The Pacers finalized the trade to acquire Pascal Siakam, All-Star forward, that in a deal that will send Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 first-round picks to the Toronto Raptors. New Orleans will also be a third team in the deal, sending Kyra Lewis to the Toronto Raptors. This is via Adrian Wojnarowski. Um, where were y'all when the league changed?
Mm.
You know,
I couldn't forget it. On my couch. Unforgettable moment, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Nasty. Nasty.
um, Indiana is sending
Eating a PBJ.
Indiana is sending 2024 first rounders and a 2026 first to the Raptors. New Orleans sends a second round pick to Indiana. The 2024 first round picks will be in Indiana's own and the worst of the Utah/Houston/Clippers/OKC. The Pelicans will send a 2024 second round pick to the Pacers in the 3-team deal. Just off the initial, off the gristle, off the muscle. We got to remember, Pascal Siakam is a free agent. How y'all feel about this trade, man?
I think for the most part it's getting positive reception. I think it's slightly early, but I still have a positive overall grade for both people involved. Cause like it's better than being late, right? Like ultimately you want to see what Tyrese is capable of, and maybe you get a little bit more of that seeing him as a solo star in the offs. Or maybe if you want to make sure for certain that Benedict isn't like a hidden number two, or that, hey, really none of you guys can play defense. Are we sure? Like, ain't one of y'all gonna step up? So there's a lot of ifs with the team, and ideally you would like to give them this one season, just like stay as is and make moves in the offseason, but it's always better to be early than late. It's a harmless trade considering what they gave up, especially being able to keep Benedict. And the draft picks you can argue is a slight overpay, but it's better to get the guy that you need because Siakam is definitely who they need. So I like the trade for them. I'd say it's a little bit of overpay, a little too early, but nothing bad. Not remotely bad.
Me personally, I like the trade for the Raptors. Not necessarily just in a vacuum, but just what they've been doing over the last couple of weeks. Really setting a direction for the franchise, letting go of some of these players that they've been holding on to, specifically the forwards. Thank God OG's gone. Thank God Siakam is gone. Oh my goodness. Now they have a core being led by, in my opinion, Emmanuel Quickly and Scotty Barnes. Like that's definite. So I like the direction that the Raptors are going in. And then for the Pacers, I mean, just I like the fit of Pascal Siakam, but my only question is, especially with him being a free agent, like what does this ultimately do for this franchise in the bigger picture? But again, because of the fact that he is just on a essentially half a year contract, like I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. So
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask you that, so I asked Damo. Um, Based off of today's trade, you know, the Pacers shoring up some of their wing position depth. They are currently sixth in the East. Um, 23-17. The Miami Heat are 24-16. The Cavs are 23-15. They're right in that little area right there. Does this move the needle for them? That's been the question on my timeline. Does this move the needle?
well, Damo's Wi-Fi just went out, so
W. W.
yeah.
Okay.
North Carolina cannot handle snow. Damn.
Oh man, wow, that's the take. You said Damo in the question specifically, so do we want to wait for him?
No,
All
I
right.
don't.
I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not gonna lie. I'd say that this moves the needle a little bit, maybe like an extra round. I don't think anyone's looking at this team and like, oh shit, title contenders. As I mentioned, yo, you got Miles Turner, I'll give you Siakam. But hey, if the remaining 8 players that's gonna play, or let alone 7, 6, when we really get deeper into the playoffs, aren't good defenders, yeah, I'm not gonna call it a good defensive team. This team, this is supposed to be a TikTok. I'm supposed to be talking shorter. Fuck it.
No. It's a clip. This is a clip.
Oh, this is a clip. Oh shit. All right. In that case, what's good, YouTube? But second. I would say that a lot of the Pacers defense gets a little bit overlooked. A lot of flaws. I'm sorry, I had to get my thoughts together. A lot of flaws on the Pacers defense gets overlooked because they're that damn good offensively. So when you look at the stats, they're like 26th, 25th in these. I think this is low key the worst defense in basketball. They just benefit from one of the most underrated defensive plays, which is called the other team's inbound pass, because they score the ball. The other bad defenses in the league don't score that well either, so it's complete chaos. These niggas, I ain't gonna lie, they can put the ball in the basket every now and then so they can set up and get some half-court stops. But I really am not a fan of this defense. Shout out to Miles Turner and inevitably Siakam, but yeah, they needed this. They needed this if they want aspirations for now. The question is, should they have these aspirations right now?
I think for me, this move the needle. Before the trade, I had them as a first round exit team. After the trade, I still have them as a first round exit team.
Damn.
They're the first round exit, but they're the first round team that you don't want to meet up. You know what I'm saying? Like, gotta face Tyrese and Siakam. That's gonna be a tough out.
You went from 5 games to 7 games type shit?
Yeah. From 4 to 6.
Okay.
It did move the needle. But...
Yeah, I will say, I mean, for me, I've maintained what I maintain. The in-season tournament really showed me everything that I needed to know about the Indiana Pacers.
Oh shit.
So I mean, it is what it is. The in-season tournament, it just showed me what I needed to know. I think that for me, the Pascal Siakam trade, good trade, great move. The risks are so high. You would have to convince me, and maybe Pascal might just ask for like a lot of money. Just ask for a lot of money, so maybe a lot of places just wouldn't bite per se. But him going into free agency in the summer, you would have to convince me that he's okay with signing to re-upping in Indiana. I don't know where else he would go, and that's probably the conversation here. Because let's say he doesn't go back there, where would he go? I don't even know if they throw out teams like the Mavericks have that much money or that much room or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But if things do not go right and they gave up all that capital for a Pascal Siakam, what they will have to do in turn to get back that capital, I think will be so detrimental. Like, we're talking about really gutting the team. Like, okay, we really have to pull the trigger on Miles Turner and Buddy Hield now, which, or just stay with the same team for the next couple of years.
What do you have? Which picks specifically they gave up in front of you?
I know one was this year. I believe one was in 26. I'll double check.
I got it in front of me now. Indiana is sending 2 2024 first rounders and a 2026 first rounder to the Raptors.
Yeah, I'm first off, and let me be clear, I am not one of these people that's basically going to call that first round pick a second round pick. I think that's kind of corny. When people do that, it's also kind of dishonest. You look at rookies like Hami over here. I almost called that nigga Jamie, right? Damn, this guy's casual. But you look at Hami Hawkes, Cam Whitmore, fucking J Hood. But you look at those rookies as well, and you have to think, they may not be the numero uno of the class, and maybe I'm going outliers on purpose. But even like a Kyle Kuzma, for what he meant to that Lakers team, if you can get a free essential player, that matters a lot. So I'm not one of those people. However, I think Omar, with what you said about Miles Turner and Buddy essentially being like, we fucked up. All right, pack up. I think that's why I'm not too concerned about them giving up these picks. They can essentially, and maybe this is the wrong way to think about it, they can essentially get them right back if this doesn't work. So I don't think this is a no way out thing. I think they could have just probably made a better roster. That's why I think it's more skeptical than anything else. I think they could have made a better roster had they took what they knew of the Pacers team prior to the trade into the offseason. I mean, into the postseason, sorry. Found out everything they need to know, and then after that, ball up.
I just wouldn't want to upgrade my timeline if I don't project myself to be like beating Boston. And I know you got to spend some money, but Pascal Siakam's like 30. Like, am I speeding up my timeline that much because I see myself in the next year, 2 years, 3 years beating like the Boston Celtics? We'll see what happens because the Bucks are a little older. The Philadelphia 76ers. If I'm not making a move that competes with them directly, and at that point I'm talking about like I don't know, getting Anthony Edwards or somebody like that on the team, like really getting somebody like that on the team, then I personally don't know if I'm making this type of move, especially with the off chance that he says, and not even really off chance. I said off chance, but that's not a good way to say that. The possibility that he says, you know what? Nah, I just don't. I'm not feeling it here. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be with the team that's actually contending.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, y'all know how I feel about like point guard led teams and how I think ultimately that's not a winning solution. But I do think for a lot of teams, because of how talented these point guards are, like, I mean, they're not, I mean, they're kind of stuck with them. Like, this is their franchise cornerstone. And they're definitely young enough and they definitely show enough promise. And these are also teams that, want to establish some sort of winning culture mentality with their team that, like, hey, fuck it. Let's just for the next couple of years build around this dude. Um, Hopefully we can get that 2004 Detroit Pistons championship in there. Um, but yeah, let's just have a couple of years of winning basketball. Like I think the Knicks are in that category, the Kings are in that category, and I think the Siakam trade is them trying to find that sub bonus to Tyrese's De'Aaron Fox or the Julius Randle to Tyrese's Jalen Brunson type beat. So
all right, make people mad here. Who are they better than? Let's put them in a hierarchy in the Eastern Conference right now, based off the straight.
Mm.
This is nasty work.
Okay, they're not Boston. The Boston Celtics,
no.
I'd say no, I don't think anyone would
the
debate
Milwaukee
that.
Bucks.
No teams in green. No teams in green.
No.
Okay, the Philadelphia 76ers.
They're more comparable, but they still lose.
In a 7 game series,
Like they match
they
up
can keep it
well.
competitive. But
Yeah, they match up well with them, but they would lose to them. I hope that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Honestly, same thing with the Bucks too, because they be beating the Bucks. But,
But I don't think this was a move to make them better than anybody this season or this year. I feel like
mm,
this is a first step into a 3-4 step plan for them. I don't think that. I mean, I don't know. I listen. My internet crapped out before I heard what anybody say, so I don't know what anyone's stances were. I literally just got here and heard who were they better than. So I don't even know what everybody said.
Essentially, I went on to say that I think this is slightly too early. I would have liked to see them figure stuff out, but it's not remotely a bad thing to do, and you're still even by some virtue finding out about some of the assets that I listed on. But essentially, I just think it's a little too early. I would have liked to see them not pull a trigger yet and do it in the off season, but it's not the end of the world. Bezos pretty much had the same thing, but his concern was moving the needle because point guard led teams, and then Omar, I think he just straight up is like, "What the fuck."
Well, let me say this too, and maybe it's because we're actively watching them. They get eliminated first round in the playoffs. Hell, second round in the playoffs. Cool. Pascal Siakam's a free agent. He's looking at all the things on the table. And I'm just thinking about this is just off the top of my head. I haven't looked at the numbers, so I don't know if this is true or not per se. Do, would you rather be Pascal Siakam on the Pacers or Pascal Siakam in Dallas?
low
Pascal
key,
Siakam on the Pacers.
it's a compelling argument for the
It's
Pacers.
actually That's actually a tough one. I probably would go
I
Dallas,
think
but that's a tough one.
I think there's a lot of overthinking in terms of this deal, and I think there's a lot of I don't know. I'm just getting confusion because how are we pulling what trigger got pulled? They traded Bruce Brown. I don't. They didn't trade any of the young pieces. They didn't trade any young piece they had. They traded the vet that everyone said they overpaid for in the offseason, and they traded him for a actual number two. In terms of figuring it out, they did figure it out. They figured out that Reese is their number one. They don't have a legitimate number two. Now, if you want to say figure out if Benedict Mathurin, Jace Walker, if he gets a chance, or who Andrew Nimbard is going to be the number two.
I'm talking
going
about
forward.
Benedict. I keep the name
Exactly.
short for you.
If you want to find out about Benedict, I can understand it and I'll hear that. Okay, wait another year or two to see if Benedict Mathurin is that guy, or get a guy that is a number two and let Benedict be a number three, and he can just turn it into Jaylen Brown. That sounds good to me. I don't know. Like to me, what they did in this move was they made it the same thing the Kings did. They had a realization. I still said it wrong.
Oh wow.
They
You be
realized
all
that
right.
Reese is their number one. Reese is their best player. They don't have a legit number two. They need a legit number two. They went and got a legit number two for what I would feel isn't too much in the grand scheme of where they see themselves and where they can be. Now, I will say the worst case scenario in this ordeal definitely does look bad. Pascal leaving makes this a one-sided deal for the Raptors, 100%. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, they win.
Blood
Best
resigns.
case, not they win. He resigns. You got this half of the season. You got half of the season after the trade deadline to show him, hey, you're playing next to a guy like Reese, who, in all actuality, because of his playmaking and how he likes to pass it, can get you seeing numbers that you've never seen. We can mess around and see one of the best seasons from Pascal Siakam going into next season playing with Reese, and he can see a little bit of that with an uptick in production a little bit ending the season. And you're playing in a situation where these people want you to be that role. You can be that guy offensively because Reese is a playmaker. He's a passer first. He's gonna pass first. He's gonna set you up. You come in here, you be the veteran bucket we need, and we pay you. All he said he wants a chance to be a free agent, evaluate his options, and maximize his return. Get the most dollars as possible. If the Pacers can get him the most dollars as possible, and they can show him this is a situation that he can like playing in, and it's something that works, why would you go to Dallas where now you got to figure, well, now either Kyrie has to relegate for you, or you got to go down there and play below Luka and Kyrie? I don't see the benefit of that.
I don't know about not seeing the benefit in
Yeah,
Dallas, but
that's yeah. It's about
If Siakam wants a particular role, he can play a role on the Pacers that he cannot play on Dallas.
but I don't know if he said specifically that I want that role.
A couple years ago, he was saying he wanted that role, and now he's saying he wants the money. So this is a situation for both. Two things he has verbally came out and said before.
yeah, I don't. Speaking of what he said, according to the chat, I haven't Googled it. I'm being lazy. I probably could just Google it. But according to the chat, a couple people said that he's, or no, just one person. He just typed it twice. One person saying that he wants to resign, or he said he was eager to resign. I'll fact check that later on. But yeah, I still view the trade positively. I would just probably still die on the hill of like, like we're talking about a sophomore Benedict. I don't even think we necessarily even need to see until he has 4 years into the league. But like considering you're already a competitive team to go to the playoffs right now, in terms of winning the championship, this probably takes you an extra round. I think I'm probably the highest on this Pacers team than anyone here. I think they'll probably go to the second round now. But I think it's still like ultimately I would have rather seen I mean, God forbid it, of course, but is Reese one of them guys that likes to get too bright? Is Benedict actually going to be one of them guys that can elevate to the moment? Who knows how to actually like play sufficient playoff basketball? Who is a fraud? All that extra shit. And then while the sample size would have been extremely small, you can construct your roster a lot easier in the draft with free agency, let alone the trade. So I would have waited personally, but I will always say I'd rather it be early than late. So I'm still thinking it's like a win-win, to be honest, because I don't think anybody here is disputing how the Raptors somehow lose this deal.
Yeah, me and Dom are on the same side of the conversation. I just ultimately think they're not building a championship core. But again, at the end of the day, they have their franchise cornerstone. The same way he brought up the Kings. They found their De'Aaron Fox. They need that too. They got their number two. So if he leaves, then kind of changes the perception of the trade. But between them and Dallas, especially if he likes playing there, which he will have a chance to see what it's like to play in Indiana with Tyrese, which I do think they have a fun culture there. They're a fun team, so who knows?
Yeah, I think, and nobody's saying that they don't understand the trade or anything like that. I know you came in a little late, Donald, but no, everybody can understand that. The conversation is, for me at least, hey, what happens if he's like, hey, this is not working, or I seen other options. I think that those are appealing. That risk is crazy high. That risk is super
Gotta
crazy
take
high.
some risk. Let Reese know
And
you care
Hold
about
on,
him.
I'm not.
and I
Is it really that high?
yeah.
Is that a high risk? I think that's a medium risk because it's still a risk and it's still a shot in the dark, in my opinion. But to call it a high risk for what you gave up in all actuality is crazy. The 2026 pick is what, top four protected? So, God forbid that the next 2 years implodes. I mean, if you're the worst team in the East, I mean, if you're one of the worst teams in 2 years, then hey, you got a chance to retain your pick. But on other than that, you gave up two picks this year. They're going to be at bare minimum what it's looking like, barring injury, a playing team. That's a team. That's a pick outside the lottery. And you just said the other pick was the best pick between which teams again? Because I could have swore I heard the Rockets and Thunder in there. Who was the other team? Clippers. We're talking about three playing teams in the West. I mean, three playoff teams in the West
I
is
ain't gonna
looking like.
lie.
Maybe one's a play-in. The Rockets could be a play-in.
The,
That's
the,
two. That's three more picks that aren't lottery picks.
the worst.
And then we have to think about their draft history. Is this a team that's ready to strike two picks outside the lottery to really revamp their team?
I ain't
It's
gonna lie. I that's where I disagree though. I'm gonna be honest. A draft pick and it's in the first round, a draft pick in the first round, especially when people have the argument that as eras go on, the floor gets raised much higher and higher. You can every like rookie of the year race is always a couple of guys that are like around 25 and up, to be honest. Let alone if we're talking like pick 17 and 15 and 18. So I think the
Sage,
picks are picks, man. Picks are picks.
Sage, I understand picks are picks. Picks are picks depending on what team is making the picks. And I challenge you to go back and look at their draft history. Who have they picked in the
I
last
mean,
5, 6 drafts?
hey, I'll humor you, but that don't really like move me too much. But I'll humor you and go ahead and look up Toronto for you. One
yeah,
second.
it's just it's capital. At the end of the day, it's capital. What you do with the capital is a different conversation. But pitching capital to another person, um, and getting a different return is still valuable, no matter how you slice it.
But
How
we
the
Um,
fuck can
just
I pull up the?
go ahead, go
There
ahead,
it
go ahead. I
is.
didn't know you were.
no,
Go ahead.
no matter how you slice it, to me, it's capital at the end of the day. Um, and that could have led to different options. And now you don't have that capital in the future in case the deal does go awry. So if they don't re-sign Pascal Siakam, hey, we gave up this capital. We can no longer use that capital in a move to leverage it with something else, to get somebody else. And now we're looking at what we currently have and then trying to move that off with less capital. I think that's just as simple as it is. You gave up a good amount of capital.
I feel you, but we just sat here yesterday talking about how you can go through the course of NBA history and look at the decisions front office GMs made that either A, didn't make sense, or they just didn't make a move or didn't do something and it cost a player his prime or cost the team an opportunity. And all I'm saying is this. And I don't know if this has been said, but I completely look at this deal and think, okay, this isn't a move to win a championship. I don't think so far. So I don't think they made this deal with the sole intentions of winning a chip, but I do think they made this deal with the intentions of being competitive. And to me, if you're looking at the optics of it, if we have what we deem a good young core, which in all honesty, they do have a solid young core, especially being spearheaded by Reese. We need a two Let's get a 2. All the things that Sage brought up into the questions about the postseason and everything like that, all those questions are still there. And we also have Siakam right now. Now, I agree. It's risky business. There's a risk here. And all we can do is sit and wait. I feel like it's very problematic to sit and just expect the worst case scenario, because if Siakam likes playing here, then what did we have this conversation? Then what was the point? Then what's the new issue?
Nobody's expecting. First of all, that Mark Phillips getting a lot of money on RDC. Nobody's
Oh
saying,
my God.
nobody's saying to expect the worst case scenario, but you at least have to have the conversation that, hey, the worst case scenario does exist. This is what it looks like. We all just can't sit here. Yeah, great trade.
Absolutely.
This is great. It's great they got Risa too. This is great. Somebody's got to at least say, all right, if this does go sour, this is it. What are the possibilities that it could go sour? What are the options outside of this right here? And I think that's it. We talked. You did miss it. We talked about what being competitive means with this trade. This don't make them better than we just named 3 teams that it don't make it better than. Now,
Being competitive next year, not this year.
Even
Being
next year.
competitive going forward.
it don't make them competitive than the 3
We
teams.
don't know what moves they can make in the offseason to add tools around these guys, and that will be better.
We're talking about this move. This move does not make them more competitive than the other guys we named. Now, it could be 50,000 future moves, but we're
I'm
talking.
not gonna lie though. Outside of Boston and Milwaukee, I think they can be pretty competitive with any other team in the East. Like for real.
I think Philly would beat their ass no matter what,
Hell,
but
they
they match
have
up.
Boston.
They match up well, but outside of them,
They
three.
have Milwaukee's numbers. They beat Milwaukee 4 or 5 times this year. They can compete with Milwaukee.
Yeah, but when that postseason starts,
That's fine. We're talking about
I
a
hear
team
you
of
though.
guys
I hear you
that
though.
They don't know how young they are. They don't know how bad they are compared to Milwaukee. And to them, we beat y'all 5 times.
Type shit.
And we gonna keep putting it on you.
Type
And
shit.
That's all they're looking at it. I get it. When the playoffs come on, that's gonna be a whole new different thing, a whole new atmosphere, and we got to see, and that will really prove it. But in terms of that team having confidence, why wouldn't they feel they can beat them after beating them 5 times in a season?
Oh no, I
You're
ain't
not asking if they feel that way. Everybody feels like they could win. Do you feel like they could beat Milwaukee?
Yes, I feel like they can beat Milwaukee in a 7-game series. Yes.
All right, that's perfect.
Milwaukee's
All right,
defense is piss poor this year.
That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something to die on. I ain't dying on that one.
You just said next year. You just said next year.
When you just said we're only looking at this move, and the reason I said why it wasn't this year is because 50,000 moves. So we take away 50,000 moves. We just look at it now, and looking at it now, I think they'll be competitive with Milwaukee. Do I think they'll win? Do I think they go to a finals? No, but they can beat Milwaukee.
That's fine, but you also did say next year, because we can't project what moves. We can just say, hey, we'll take it from what's going on right here and we'll put it into next year. So do you think next year, with Milwaukee having a full off season with everybody there, do you think they can be as competitive with Milwaukee? Okay, that's
Yes.
fine. Fully healthy Cleveland.
Yes. I'm not
Yes.
high on Cleveland, guys. I ain't gonna
As
lie.
constructed, yes. As Cleveland's constructed, yes.
A fully healthy Knicks team.
Yes.
No. I don't think so. Not with a healthy Knicks, no.
And then I guess the last one in this conversation. I mean, Miami's always there, but I'm pretty sure y'all would probably Miami.
I'm about to say, yeah, that's Miami. You already ruled the Bucks out.
I probably got Miami in the series, but
I'm gonna take the Pacers.
And then aged up Orlando Magic team.
Aged up is crazy.
I'll probably take Orlando, but it would depend on their offseason because the offense really needs some help, dog. Like that offense is crazy bad.
I'll even support Hummel's argument and say that Siakam, even if you think it was an overpay, securing a player that like is almost a perfect fit outside of literally him being able to consistently knock threes. He's like a perfect fit for what the team needs. At the cost of extra pay to make sure that, hey, there ain't no question where he is. He is in Indiana. That does matter. However, my concern is, I ain't gonna lie, King, and maybe I'm being too, like, not obtuse, but acute or linear here, whatever the fuck term is. But if you got them beating the Bucks, you only got them losing to Boston and New York, that sound like they supposed to make a deep ass run, title contending ass team. Oh, you got Philly too. Okay, I'm about to say that's more than like all but 2 in the East. That sound like they supposed to be trying to compete for a championship. But if you got 3 teams that you know they ain't gonna be, all right.
But I think
I would just
Philly is
disagree with
also
Milwaukee regardless. But
I think Indy is also a franchise that just they have trouble getting stars on their team, so they have a chance to bring a star on their team, essentially court them for 40 games, and like legitimately make a pitch of them going into free agency. I mean, I think that's worth. I think that's worth the risk.
No,
Because
and
how many other free agents would go to Indiana?
I agree. I mean, this is what mid market basketball looks like.
Yeah.
Damn.
As a mid or bottom tier market guy, this is what it looks like. You do have to overpay. You do have to hope for the best, wish for the best. You do got to take your time and hope that they can prove themselves. Now, as our friend Roy Hibbert said, it's nothing to do in Indiana, so they're gonna have a hard time doing it. And the best way they could do it right now, it looks like numbers, because I don't think, to me, from a winning perspective, I don't see them winning like too much more based off of where they are right now.
Mm.
You don't see them. So this deal just flat out what this deal is. You don't think this deal made them a deal bit better? Like you don't think this made them better? Like definitively better?
What I'm really saying is, do I see them moving up from sixth to third? No. Do I see them moving up from sixth to fourth? Maybe, but the difference between six to four is like a game, 2 games, and I think that is historically proven to be true.
Which teams are is that right now?
Miami,
Uh huh.
and Cleveland,
Miami and Cleveland. Okay.
and their and
I gotta see that
their
record.
percentages. But Pacers are sixth at 23-17.
Uh huh.
Miami is 24-16, and then
Oh yeah, I'm
Cleveland
looking at it right now.
23 and
23 and 15.
yeah. So we're not
Yeah.
talking about a lot. And even if I go back a year, there's like a 6 game difference between 4 and 6. And then if I go back another year, there is a
2021.
46-51. What is that? Uh, Not 6, but a 5 game difference. So we're talking about a 5 game difference. To me, yeah, it's worth it, I guess. You would have to convince him, yo, we score a lot of buckets. You're gonna get a lot of buckets. You're gonna get a lot of shine, and maybe a little bit more of a star. You save some money because you're stateside now.
Hmm.
So you can talk about all those things. But again, I think that there would be a harder pitch to sell than Dallas. But that's just me. Also, as somebody who likes Dallas.
What's the difference to you between this move and like? Because I know you're high on the Kings trading for Sabonis. What's the
Who
difference
said
between
that?
those two? Huh?
Who said that?
I could hear you. Like, oh, we were talking about did the Kings make a mistake trading Tyrese? You're like, hey, as long as Sabonis and Fox maintain and be competitive for a couple years, like they did their job. So you know,
But I think that's the difference here. It's the uncertainty on those couple of years being able to prove that. If Siakam walks, then this was a huge risk for them. I don't see it as a huge risk because I think they have everything in line to, in my opinion, make a good case for Siakam. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know that nigga. So I mean, he could care about the bitches and that's it. And hey, you got it, gang. Ain't nothing but Miss Naturals and Tiana Trumps out there. So I don't. I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know what he's looking for. So he can shock the world and be like, nah, Indiana just wasn't it. I get that. I thought Kawhi would have stayed with the Raptors, but it made sense why he left. In all honesty,
I
I mean,
definitely
we
didn't.
don't know Kawhi. We don't know Kawhi. Kawhi like warm weather. He like being by home. That's all it took. Hey, I don't care. He won a championship here and still said, nah, I like being by home. I just
And
want to
had
be by
his
home.
friends there.
Yeah, and was able to bring friends. So again, I can definitely understand, and I can definitely see a world where, yeah, the possibility of Siakam just packing up and being like, I wanted to go where the Africans were. I don't know. I just don't. They're not in here. That nigga's Haitian. But easy. He could easily do that. I don't know. I think in terms of the numbers for him, it will look good out there. In terms of the numbers they can offer, I've heard a couple people talk about the Pacers are in line to be able to offer him the biggest contract this offseason, which is crazy. I don't know if they get his rights because of the trade. I guess I thought that it would be like, oh, at least being able to match other teams that have been able to do that. But if they can give him the most money, then you can give him the biggest deal. I, it seems like it's a win-win for them.
Nah, I said before you got here, that ultimately the main reason why I'm positive for both teams, and I don't think the risk is too bad. However, I'm not going to belittle picks. Is with they've kept all meaningful assets. So like even hypothetically with the picks, let's say that fuck my standard. Let's say a first round pick is like a core thing for me. I literally said before you got here, yo, they have Turner, they have Buddy. So in that worst case scenario, you just let them rumors spark right back up. Go ahead, pack one of them two up. I know it sound crazy. That nigga Turner is 27. I thought he was fucking 40. He's 27 years old. He'll definitely at least get you one, if not two. And Buddy will definitely be the remaining one if we have to think of it that fuck parallel. There we go. You also have Neesmith still there. It ain't the name that y'all want to hear, but nowadays Obi Toppin is still there. Tyrese is obviously still there, so I don't think it's the end of the world for the Pacers if he doesn't resign. That's why at the end of the day, I'll say that this is still a WW for both. However, I would have just waited.
I would say in terms of the picks, and I don't know if we want to wrap up again. I just got here, so I'm pretty sure y'all are tired of talking about it. But
You good?
in terms of the picks they gave up two picks again, out projected to be outside of the lottery this year. They have Jarris Walker, who anyone that knows about Jarris Walker knows him not playing is a travesty. They have a stash player. So imagine again. I understand picks are real estate or whatever it is, gratuity, whatever we said picks were. Picks are whatever the hell it is. They have a guy who they drafted this past season who's not playing at all and probably going to touch the court for the first time or consistently next year when he should be playing this year. They have a guy to go next year. They also have Andrew Nimbar, who's only in his second season. Next year will make his third year. They have Ben Shepherd, who his base is good on 2K. The nigga's a shooter. God forbid he just turns into a better shooter overnight, and they give him more trust, and that's another shooter next year. They still have young guys they need to play that they're not playing this year. It makes sense to be like, why would we just stack young guys? You will be in a situation that the Thunder are about to find themselves in, where you have a 14-man roster full of players that should be on the court, but there's not enough minutes for everybody. So I wouldn't want to see them be in a situation where, okay, we got two picks coming in this year. Hell, we got two players that need to play from this year's draft. They're not playing because of the pecking order we have now. So going into next year, we got to implement these guys. And we're just going to have two more picks sitting here, wasting away, not playing in the G League where we could have these guys playing. I don't know. It just seems like a waste. Like, it's not like the Pacers don't have any other assets outside of Benedict Mathurin. Like, they actually have young guys on this bench. Kendall Brown is cool. I'm surprised he's a two-way. I did not know that's what Kendall Brown was. That's wild. But I'm not going to sit here and down the hill of Kendall Brown's going to be an all-star. But they do have guys where next year is going to be like, oh, these guys can play. How Swiper was on Spaces screaming, oh, yeah, we not worried about Bruce Brown. We got Peyton Watson. Everyone. Who's Peyton Watson? Peyton Watson averaged 3 points a game in college before he got drafted by the Nuggets. Didn't play at all his first year. Getting some minutes this year. Nuggets fans love him. That can be a situation for the Pacers going into next year. I'm not upset about those picks at all. Give them up. You seem like a team that wants to take a step up in terms of actually competing instead of retooling or rebuilding. F them outside the lottery picks. F them. Especially if we have a team with a track record of not making the best picks.
Even on player's choice. I do want to say before we round it out, because we are gonna have to touch on it a little bit tomorrow.
Type
I'm
shit.
looking at the teams with the cap space going into next year, and ultimately the Pacers could pull off like a sign and trade. At the end of the season, like, okay, this didn't work out, but we want to everybody scratch each other's backs. Plus, y'all, the way to absorb a guy like Pascal Siakam, y'all got to come up off something anyway. OKC. I'm seeing Houston. I'm seeing Sacramento. I'm seeing Orlando. I'm seeing Cleveland. I'm seeing Dallas. I'm not going to lie to you. All of those situations to me seem like they will be better than Indiana.
Uh-oh.
Damn.
Not
You
saying
know
he's
Siakam
wrong.
just trying to go out there and win a chip?
You said, do I think he is?
Do you think that's all? Like that's his main concern, just winning a championship?
No, but I'm not the salary cap guy. I
Mhm.
believe that they could also back out some bags and win. I think he's still young enough to, or I think he's still a winner. So, but yeah,
Well, no, no, no. I'm asking that because all those situations, I think he can go to, and those would be better situations than. And I would have to hear the list again, but for the most part, the teams you name all sound like better winning situations than the Pacers. But I will only argue, is he just caring about winning? Because Siakam could easily be a guy who is just as important about how his role on the team and him wanting to play a certain role on a team because he's already won. Because he's won a ring and he's seen the cycle of how people will forget you on a ring, how people can talk about you even though you won a ring. The ring might not be that important to him on the spectrum. Or winning can be important. That's why he can go to a team that's deemed a winning team right now. But if he wants to be the guy, a guy, those teams you named, he goes to any of those teams, he's what? A third, fourth option?
hell,
Behind younger guys for the most part?
no.
On a lot of these teams, what team is he not? A third or fourth
If he
option?
goes to Sacramento, he's either one or two. Not,
Third option. No, he's not better than Sabonis or De'Aaron Fox. Stop.
but okay, even Orlando. Orlando.
He's behind
No.
Franz Wagner and Paolo. He's
Oh,
third option.
Cleveland.
He's behind
DG
De'Aaron and he's
Donovan
behind
Mitchell.
DG. I mean, not De'Aaron, Donovan Mitchell and DG.
We're reaching.
And that's if
That's a
Donovan
reach?
Mitchell stays.
Mm.
Now, if Donovan Mitchell leaves, I give you that. Cleveland looks way better as an option. But if Donovan Mitchell is still there, he's behind DG and Donovan Mitchell.
That's the reach. DG is the fucking reach.
The all-star point guard is the reach. Really?
Yes.
Averages like 18 and
Okay.
9. Okay.
All right. I mean, if
I
that's the
don't
reach,
think
that's the
he'd be
reach.
more important to the franchise than Garland, even if he would score more. I ain't gonna lie.
I would think that
Well,
there are
there's
two
the difference
all-stars would stay.
between being an option and like just who's a better.
I think
player.
either. No, I agree with you and Domo. I think either one. Darius Garland is over.
Yeah.
If we keep it going to the Rockets, Sengun, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Van Fleet. I'm not gonna hold you. He's gonna be right behind Van Fleet again, like he was on the Rockets, on the Raptors.
Okay.
Like, what are we talking about? That's the same issue they had in Toronto. You want to talk about the Thunder?
That's by
Let's talk
nature
about
of
the Thunder.
playing from power forward to center, but I
He's
can't
a
disagree.
Fifth option in Oklahoma City. Let's be real. Not fourth option, but that's tough.
Yeah, fifth is crazy, but he'll be four.
Nah, he's the fourth option behind three guys younger than him.
Yeah, I don't think that would be the case. But if you feel like that's the case, fine.
Well, no, he'd be third. I think they would tell J Dub same thing that we're telling Benedict.
J-Dub to
Yeah,
them?
yeah, tell him, hey, yo,
Okay.
watch out.
Then you're just behind Chet and SGA. A 30-point per game SGA.
He definitely behind that guy.
Definitely.
He's definitely
If-
behind that
If
guy.
it's about touches and opportunity, I do think Indy's the best situation for him because he's a clear two there. Like I don't think anyone's debating that, unless you want to say Buddy Hield or two with Siakam there. Nah.
Hell no. He ain't.
No,
Like these discussions we're not having in Indiana.
I think he can. I think he would be a clear two in Indiana. A clear two and losing is like, but a two, and you can debate 2-3, and winning. I think that does a lot. I
Where,
don't know.
where I'm
Again,
my
it-
fault.
again,
I'm not
it
gonna
depends
lie.
on
I
who
was
he
like
wants.
not on my P's and Q's. Where was those situations where we think he's a two in winning?
OKC, Houston, Sacramento, Orlando, Cleveland, and then he wouldn't be the Dallas.
Nah.
Houston is the best bet.
I-
I was
I'd-
trolling
I'd-
the Van Fleet thing. Houston's the best bet.
Yeah, I'd say of all the teams, if I had to say number two in winning, I'd think Sacramento and Houston. I just don't think he'd be the number two in the West. I think they'd be crazy. Like he's definitely, it's weird. He'd be the second best player, but I think they're like, fuck that, check the ball. So I think they
You think
yeah.
you think he has a shot at being the number two in Sacramento?
Yeah, low key. Depending on
Over Sabonis?
it depends what offense they're trying to run. If they're trying to rely more on the shot creation and shit versus like Sabonis being not, and it's racist every time we do this shit, but hey, well like baby Jokic, but like ultra mega baby Jokic because he's not like Sengun with it. It's like they can have a style of offense catered towards Siakam and Fox, but not in like a pick and roll. It's not a natural fit as Sabonis and Fox is, if that makes sense. But it's possible.
makes sense.
So if they wanted to, yeah.
I'm about to say, so they essentially he would go there and they would have to change their offense.
Yeah,
To
but yeah,
make
yes,
him
yes,
a
yes.
guy they go through instead of
Wait, why
going
would
through
they?
Sabonis's money.
I think they changed their
Because
offense
the
there
because
and
the
make him a number
offense right
2.
now
Oh my
is
God, Rui.
to make him a number 2. Yeah, they would have to because as of right now, their offense goes through Sabonis and then De'Aaron.
Oh, I'm just saying. I'm saying he would be a great play finisher, is what I'm saying,
I mean, yeah,
and be
fine,
be
but
the recipient of like, yeah, of just a more high powered offense. That's what I think. But
that's fine. I don't think that makes him the number 2 though. I don't think that makes him a number 2.
if he's a play finisher, that's like getting the recipient of the screens and all this other stuff, the back cuts and all this.
So he's the recipient of Sabonis playmaking or De'Aaron pick and rolls, and then whenever they're not on the court, he has the ability to create his own shots in that period of time.
No, I mean they do a bunch of gives and goes and cuts and stuff like that, um, in Sacramento. So I don't understand why he just wouldn't be the beneficiary of that. Like,
But that's fine. But when who's giving him to go? When he's cutting, who's hitting him? Would be my question.
It would still
Because
be a
for the
debatable
most part, it'd be
team.
Sabonis. It would be Sabonis and De'Aaron for the most part, correct?
yeah, and what I'm and I guess that's what we'd be asking. I think him being a play finisher can make you a 2. Like just because he's not touching the ball or whatever the case may be, initiating the offense doesn't necessarily not make him a 2.
But okay, okay.
Am I wrong on that?
Nah, it's
I
not. It's
think
not
you're
that.
absolutely wrong.
Yeah, it
I'll be
depends.
honest, I do
Yeah,
think
now
so.
we're talking what the definition of a number 2 is because I would say if Sabonis and Fox are dominating the ball, the argument would have to be that Siakam is going to be number 2 in points per game. Outside of that, nah, I think that unless they change the system, that he'd have to be number 2. I mean 3.
De'Aaron's literally reigning clutch player of the year. So when the game's ending,
Wait.
go ahead. I'll wait. Go ahead.
Stop the recordings. Jesus Christ, we're 50 minutes in, dog.
Oh my God! Hey, next time on Dragon Ball Z, Nick.